Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Today is Friday, May 22nd, 2026. Let me share my screen. We can get going. Again, we're going to start with the fundamentals. All right, there we go. All right, so let's get moving. So on the fundamentals, today is Friday, May 22nd. So not a lot of news today. We have a 10 a.m. consumer sentiment final, U.S. leading economic indicators, and Fed Governor Christopher Waller is going to speak. Okay, so let's move over to Forex Factory. That's just a highlight for the day. Let's refresh the screen for today. All right, so we have, let's see, Euro. Again, I'm paying attention to USD and Euro. Euro, neutral, positive, positive. Canadian dollar, Euro, neutral. US dollar, revised University of Michigan consumer sentiment. It's slightly down from 48.42, which is what it was last month. It was the same, projected to be the same this month, and it's actually a little lower at 44.8, which is bad for the economy. This is just a leading indicator. Also, this is an orange folder, so this could have an impact, but it is not a red folder. So just, it's a marginal impact. And then we have right here, we have leading index, that's yellow folder, and that's pretty much exactly where we want it to be. It's slightly higher, but it's it's 2/10. So instead of 0.1, it's 0.2. Negative 0.1, it's 0.2. 0.2 higher, clearly, so it's 0.1. So not a lot of news there. Moving over to FinViz. Okay. Let's take a look. I'm going down it with you right now. So we're started off on the left-hand side here under news. Let's see. This is something we want to look into, just to make sure we're aware, especially with the fact that Elon has now filed for his IPO, so that's going to be doing a lot. So we want to pay a lot of attention to that. That's going to impact not just the industry, it's going to be the highest valuation of all time. And it's also going to impact many other industries. Okay, so just stuff you want to pay attention to, people who are tied to them, just be aware. That's taking it at a very, very, very high level. Let's see. I'm going to try to also add another light in front of me to try to minimize the amount of autofocus that's going on because this is getting disruptive. So let's try that. See if that's any better. We're trying to help with the auto. Maybe not. We'll give it a whirl. Anyway, again, nothing really right here. I think it is time that we get ourselves a new camera very shortly. This thing is just not cutting it. But so, I mean, yes, we want to pay attention to this, but you also have to understand when it says consumer confidence collapses to record low. You always have to be aware of the source of the publication. And while numbers and results are that, they're static and they can see, we also do have a war that's dramatically impacting the entire market, especially oil and gas, but then that has also impacted many other services as well. So especially with the tariffs and everything that was going on. So, and then Trump and Xi were meeting this week. So there's a lot of fluctuation and a lot of volatility right now. So it's just stuff to pay attention to. But with all those, when all those things are as volatile as they are, they often can have a result where clearly people aren't going to be confident in what's going on because they don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. They don't know. And people, if you listen to the news, it's all negative hype. Right. So it's all oil's here. What are we going to do? Or this has now happened. Now stocks are high, but how are they high? And then this is low. So bottom line is the news is going to create drama. The more stress you're under, the more you're going to watch, the more the more they can charge their advertisers for you to pay attention. Bottom line is trust your sources, find out the news that you want to get. I prefer to try to find sources that are as objective as possible. There's always going to be some sort of an agenda. I would believe people's upbringing, surrounding influence always has an impact on their decision because it helps shape who they are and what they believe in. And your truth and my truth could both be truths, but we could both have completely different views. That's just what's true to us. So I think people need to remember that nowadays, and especially right now with everything going on. The biggest thing, and one of the reasons why I love being in Forex right here, is we can take advantage of those fluctuations and trade the up, trade the down. And as long as we know when we're looking for the proper indicators and paying attention to the fundamentals, if the indicators match up and the fundamentals don't conflict, then we're in a good spot. We're in a good space. Just understanding that even if the technicals are in alignment right now and all those technical indicators say we should do something, a quick speech or a quick comment or something could change things periodically, even if it's for a short period of time, and dramatically impact the market. So it's really important that we're paying attention to the fundamentals, either you or a source or something that's going to alert you to any sort of important information that develops during the time that you're in the middle of a trade or that you're looking to trade. All right. So I'm going to quickly go over here. We're going to start off at gold again, go to our daily, work our way back. So on my daily, we've already adjusted the support line based on the previous candle. We've adjusted the resistance line based on the previous candle. Our pivot line for the day is this 45.10. Okay, so this is what we're trying to see. Is price going to stay above it or is it going to go below it? If price continues to stay above it, the numbers that we were looking at for the daily was right here. This 45.52 and 45.570 is what we're taking a look at. Okay, so that would be our long for the day, and this would be our long, not quite as long, but this is an existing play that we're taking a look at. I'll elaborate on something I was looking at earlier, which is why these numbers are here, but I'll get to them in a minute. We also see we have a demand zone here. Price is right now up against that demand zone, and that is a supply zone, and that is a daily supply zone. We also have a 4-hour resistance line right here. So we have 2 points of resistance that this is coming up against right now. So we want to pay attention, okay? We want to see what this candle is going to do. But to get more information on this, because it's kind of a little bit stagnant, we're going to go over to the 4-hour. You can see let me rephrase that quickly. It went up to the front wall and then came back. So right now we're down here on the daily. We're at 45.01. All right. So if we drop down to the 4-hour, so Einstein had a call for a buy earlier today, and as you can see though, on the 4-hour right here, when I got in at like 5:15, 6 a.m. this morning, this candle was engulfing. All right, so if I go to the 1-hour, I think that shows it better. Yep. So this is the first candle that I was in on this morning. Okay, see this candle, and then we had a negative engulfing. So we had a bearish engulfing candle. So on a bearish engulfing candle, it wasn't enough to create a demand zone, but that's where what I like to do in this is we want to make sure we want to look for the pullback. Okay, I'm always looking for the pullback on that engulfing candle to about the 50% mark, which is why I took this Fibonacci. So I created this Fibonacci right here, this Fibonacci retracement indicator, and then we modified it, or the tool, sorry, and then we modified it for the 50%. So it only contains the 0, the 1, and the 50. So I put that at both ends of where the candle closed, not the wicks. And then I look for that 50% mark. So what that told me is that as soon as this candle right here pulled back up to here, to this 50, to this 45.23, okay, then that was a good indication that it was often going to continue down, which it did. All right. But what happened is I was waiting for it to go all the way up here before I took the buy. So what I did on this is I got in on this buy because I wanted to take the buy up to that 45.23. But when I got in just above here, a little bit later than I wanted to. I wanted to get right in on the base, but I got in a little later than I wanted to. And it went up about half the way, and then it shot down here. When it shot down here, I had a very short stop loss on this one because I didn't think it would go that negative. And if it did, I wanted to minimize my loss rather than have it do something like this, where it goes way down here, and I end up losing a lot of money. So I had a very short stop loss, and my stop loss was probably right behind the front wall. So it was like right here, and it ended up going a little bit behind. So I did not profit on this trade, and I would have been correct. So my technicals were correct. my stop loss was not set properly, and that's how I got a minor loss rather than a $50, $60 win. It wouldn't have been huge anyway, but it would have been a decent win. So that's one of the ones that I was taking a look at this morning. But let's go back to the 4 hour here for a minute. All right. So right now we're seeing price is, let's get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that too. Price right now is below this pivot point, and there is still 2 hours, 21 minutes left on this candle. So you want to see how low it's going to go. I would be surprised if it goes below this point, but this was also the daily short target, the first target of the day. And here's the second daily short target. Okay, so the longer short. So actually, I don't want to use long and short in the same sentence. This is a lower short than the first one. So this is still pushing down. If we go to a lower time frame to see is it fluctuating, it is. There's some consolidation here with some up and down, and I'd expect that to potentially stay there. Although right here we had a true on the 5-minute, we have a true E3 cross here with the 200 above the 66, which is above the 20, which is above the 10. So this almost always indicates a negative trend until this closes above the 20. See if we have that on any other time frames as well. We do right here. Yep. 10 is below the 20. 66 is below the 200. We have it here also. That happened right here, and then it went down. We have it right here as well. Wow, we have an E3 cross on the 5, 15, 30, 45. What about on the hour? Nope, not yet. But it looks like that's going to happen right around 3 p.m. So again, it's one of the indicators that would definitely indicate a bearish trend, something we want to pay attention to. Let's see right here. The candles didn't, this candle hasn't closed yet either. There's still 19 minutes left on it. If I go to the 30 for a minute. So, I mean, right here, if we were marking this up, would have a 30-minute supply zone. And I want to make sure this only shows up on the 30. So I want to make sure visibility is good. We also have this 30-minute demand zone. So I want to just have this marked. And then we have this small supply zone as well. This is when I say moving to the left and looking for structure. All right, I have to zoom in on this because I know that's too big. I don't like the way that was created. Yep, way too big. So let's fix this. We want it to be just in alignment with the top and bottom of the candle base. And I know this is just the way that we're doing it. I've seen some people go down from the bottom of the candle to the bottom of the wick. Really kind of tomato, whatever your system is and how you do it. I'm not going to tell you how to do that both ways. I've seen done by people who are much better than me at this and have been doing it for years, so I support both ways. All right, so that makes sense now. That 30-minute demand zone came down, hit this wall. Is there anything else structurally over here that we need to pay attention to before we get to our target? No. Before we get to our target 2, we have this right here, which is a demand zone. Let's see, do we have anything else here? That's too big to be a supply zone. That's a demand zone right there. It's a big one. I don't know how I missed that. I went right by it. I don't know what that line is. Let's get rid of that because I don't know what that is. All right. So this is what we're looking at, and the daily target is just above the front wall, which is not surprising that that's where it is. All right, so on gold right here, here's what we have. Again, looking at the 30-minute, it pulled up and hit the 50% on this demand zone. Let's see what it does. Is it going to push through? Notice my RSI is gone. My ATR is still listed here at 12.8.7825. So that's good information, but I want my RSI back. So because I already saved the template, I click on my template indicators and I click Einstein predict with no ATR. Because I don't need the ATR because that's provided to me by Einstein. So, oh, didn't mean to move that. All right, so let's start down here again. Let's go back to the 5. It's facing up like 2 o'clock. And it's below the 50. We're at 41.27 and it's above Jerome, which is 36.27. So that's an upward trend. 15-minute. Okay, it's not quite a V correction, but it's definitely on its way back up. It has not crossed the 50 and it has not crossed Jerome. So it has 2 points of resistance that we need to pay attention to down here before I'm confident with continued movement. What about the 30? Similar, it's more of a V shape, but it's not as sharp as we'd like. It's not, the trajectory is more along, let's say almost pointing to, if this is 90, that's almost like pointing to 45 degrees. This is probably like a 20-degree angle. And again, probably looking for that to be closer to a 45-degree angle in order to classify the V, in my opinion. But again, it's at 40.50. It's just below Jerome. It's just below the 50. So just watching it to see if we have continued progress up. 45 minutes, same boast. That's a sharper V as well. Again, still below the 50, still below Jerome, about 5 below. On the 1 hour, that's just heading down. There's been no correction here. The last correction we had on this, if we're going to zoom in on the RSI for a minute, I'm going to blow it up. So this is what we can see. So we did have a V correction and it headed back down. And then we can see right here, rather than heading straight down, it started to pivot to the right. So now we're going to see if this course corrects and continues the progressive movement up. I would guess would be, yep, the 2 hours pointing straight down, 4 hours straight down, 8 hours straight down, but above Jerome. And the daily is down. Didn't even come up and touch Jerome yet. Turned around before it. All right. So on the higher time frames, we definitely have the negative trend. The question is, will this stay consistent enough? So let's minimize this and get it back down. I think it will. I mean, I'm taking a look right now on what I'm seeing, and I'm expecting that this is going to continue up a little bit. I got in on it late. If I was to jump in right now, I'm not as confident that it's not going to turn around and hit this back wall and consolidate a little bit right here. I need some more information. Yeah, give me a minute. Let me log in over here and just get prepped. While we're waiting on that, I want to just quickly look at Euro USD. So I, on Euro USD, took a daily buy. I took a buy because I was expecting it to go up before day's end. So I have a daily play on this. And what I'm looking for it to do is come all the way up to this right here, to the second target. So I have a long position play right here, trying to play it up to that 16,450-ish mark. What's been going on is, let's go. So we can see what's going on here. We have our long 1 right here, our long 2, our short 1, our short 2, and our pivot line is right here at 15.89. Oh, above that. 15, let's call it 1.159. Taking a look to see is price stay above it, which it is. It's not closing below it, it's staying above it. So we're looking for it. I'm looking for it to go up all the way to target 1 or target 2 on a daily play here. Okay, so let's drop back to the 4 hour to see, do we see anything else? Do we have any other resistance and information? So we have a demand zone down here, which is right above the target. Target's right, the pivot. The pivot is right at the back wall. All right. So again, this price has come down and it turned around inside this. This time it shot down to here. And this is yesterday at 9 a.m. And it came back up. And since then, it hasn't really, this wick briefly breached the back wall, but it hasn't closed below this demand zone. So this demand zone is holding right now. We do see the 10 right here. The 10 is just about to cross the 20. That would be an indication of it likely going down, and that's on a 4-hour. We can see the 66 is below the 200. The 20 is above, the 10 is above the 20, but only by 1/10,000th. Sorry. So if that breaks below, I'm going to get an indication that that's below, and that would actually be a sign that it's probably going to head down for at least a little bit, but it looks like it's already started that trend. So let's look at some lower time frames to see if that's already happened, and it has. Okay. So right here we have the 200. The 20 is above the 66, so you kind of can't see it unless I zoom in here. But the 20 is blue, the 66 is red, and the 10 is white. Okay, and those are all the simple moving averages. So the 200 is up above. We know that. That's good. The 20 is above the 66, and the 10 crossed below both of them. So that was a big reason for that negative / bullish movement. Same right here too. The minute we have it cross below the 20, what happens? Bullish. And then right here, when the full E3 cross kicks in, it continues its bullish movement till it closes above the 20. Okay, so that's textbook. Right here, the 20 crosses below with the 10 below, the 66 above, and then, yep, continue to bullish movement. All right, so let's go back to the 4-hour for a minute because I'm kind of curious about this. So my play right now is, let me try to pull it up if I can. This is different than my GNT account. Yeah, I'm down on this, and I'm down $2.21 right now. So I have a stop loss way down at 14,690, so way down here. Way down. But my take profit is 17,360. Okay, so I'm trying to go all the way up to here. All right. This is what I was initially looking at. And that was also based on things I was seeing. Plus, I took advantage of the TP2 call on Einstein. So if we go to this Einstein call from this morning, I'll show you where those numbers are. Let's go to current time symbol, current symbol. Let's go to the daily. You know what? Let's apologize for that, for not pulling that up right away. Let's clear that out. So we had a gold call on the euro. Actually, was that a call I made yesterday? That might have been a call I made yesterday. Doesn't matter. Bottom line is I'm going to just be watching this. I don't expect it to go up as high as that. I was trying to do a large play on that. Let me go back to euro. So I would like to see it come all the way up to here, which is 16,450. That's a good target for the day. Again, in terms of taking a look at any sort of resistance we have between here, we have the demand zone where it's coming into right now. I'm going to see what it does as it approaches this. We still have 2 hours left on this candle. We go down to the 1 hour. It should be 6 minutes away from making a decision. So we want to see what the 1 hour is going to do. Yeah, so this seems to be turning around right here. But again, too, the trend is negative. So not going against the trend yet until I have a few more confirmations. I do have a confirmation that it's going to continue bullish. I do have a confirmation that it's going to turn around at this front wall, the middle point, or the back wall. So within these three, I do expect it to turn around. We also have the pivot point right behind it, which is again a support line that I expect to see how it reacts to that if it gets down there. As you can see down here, it touched it, went through it, and then came right back up. So we're going to be monitoring Euro USD, but don't forget Euro USD closes in 6 hours, 5 minutes. I have been burned on this before. We've talked about it. So I highly recommend that you get out at 10 before 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time just to make sure you don't get stuck in a trade. I have got stuck in a trade when I try to get out 3 minutes prior to the hour, and even one time just under 5 minutes. Right after it turned 4:55, I went to get out and I couldn't get out. So didn't hurt me the second time. The first time it did hurt me, and with a lot of lessons learned. So just make sure that you're out of that market by then. You can trade Bitcoin over the weekend. That continues, but everything else, gold, euro, euro USD, any of that is off from 5 p.m. today until Sunday evening. So again, just monitoring this, not doing much with it. I'm going to flip back over to gold. Also, we always take a quick peek at oil. Oil's 97, basically 97.5, 97.475 right now. But again, just taking a quick look at it, you can see it if I go to the daily. As we know, a lot of fluctuation. And that just has to do with the unease as to what's going on with the war in Iran. What actually is it going to end? Is it going to continue? Is it going to prolong? Also, pay attention to the moves that are being made with liquid natural gas and other moves the U.S. is making right now. Because while oil is unavailable in that region, which is 20% of the world's oil moves through the Strait of Hormuz, we need to be aware of other energy sources. And while everyone's looking left, make sure you pay attention to what's on the right as well. Why is that camera out of focus? There we go. Let me try this for a sec and come back. There we go. All right. All right. So on gold, I just want to zoom in on this. We're going back down. This is a daily. Again, if you're going to do a daily call on gold, I fully support it. And let's take a look at this. I mean, this has already hit TP1. It hasn't hit TP2 yet, but it already hit TP1. Initially, too, it pulled back, and then it hit, and then it pulled back. So that's still a bearish candle that hit its take profit one. All right, so this was a good movement too from when it made the initial call. You're dealing with 47. That's a lot. It's a lot. But there's a good opportunity there to make a decent amount of money, depending on your lot size. So the thing with daily, though, you got to be able to carry the balance because it's going to require a longer balance in the fluctuations because as it pulls back and moves forward, if you trust your technicals, you got to be able to absorb the pullbacks. And obviously, if we're dealing with a daily, we're dealing with larger pullbacks, but larger payouts as well often. Okay. So dropping back to the 4-hour here, we see we had a gold buy call right here. That has not panned out yet. That did hit TP1 again, and TP1 being, let's see, can I see that over here yet? That's a 4-hour, so that was in the, right here. So the entry was 45.21 and 50 pips was the entry. So that's a 50 pip win once it got to here. It went a little above it, but you got 50 plus pips. All right. So that's a nice little win. Drop down to the 1-hour. I like to zoom in too, so it's not as noisy. A lot of that structure is there, so when it goes to that next level, I'm prepared. And I don't go crazy with it, but I want to make sure that we have that. I'm also going to move this notification because it's right in the middle of our screen from top to bottom. And sometimes I have to do that with my templates just to make sure we can actually read everything. And you can see that daily target for the first short play. If it closes below this, then we're going to look for the short play right here. And if it starts to push through, we'll look for the longer short. I mean, for the bigger short. I don't like using bigger and longer and short in the same sense. It's because they're oxymoronic. But what I want to do is I'd like to see it push down further down to this short 2 target that I have down here. All right. Again, going back to our RSI, 5 is pointing down. 15 is pretty much just below 3 p.m. 30 is slightly up, but again, pointing closer to 3 p.m., maybe 2:45. That's exactly the same on the 45-minute. 1 hour is definitely facing down to 4 p.m. 2 hours, like 4:30. 4 hours, net. Again, about that 4:30 range. 8 hours stuck at Jerome. And the daily's down. So this is an indication of a daily movement. So our dollar index, this is an alert saying on the 4-hour dollar index, the 10 is crossing the 20. So let's take a look at it really quick. This is the dollar index. The dollar is trading right now at 99.358. The 10 just crossed the 20, which would indicate typically this is going to go up. Okay, so that's what that indicates. How is the volatility index right now? The VIX is at 17. Okay. So that's down. All right. Well, again, not a lot of stuff going on right now. Watching. Sorry, I couldn't do any other live trades with you besides showing you my euro. But my euro's long bid is to take it out for the day to have it finish up. That's what I'm looking for it to do. And on gold, I'm just waiting for the right opportunity. Just waiting for it to pull back to the point that I want. If this closes right here in the next 2 hours, we have an engulfing candle. On the 1 hour right here, nothing. So this also started up. Then if it starts up, it often indicates that it's going down. So if I was going to rush into this, I would definitely take the sell. And I do have some support that indicates that a sell is staying consistent, but I do see this is kind of flattening out on the 1 hour, which concerns me. On a continued sell, 45 minutes slightly up. Again, this is all indicating consolidation, not indicating a sell right now, to me. And if I'm wrong, I would love to learn why. But at this point in time, that's all that I'm seeing. So I'm just watching and not getting in on anything. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I look forward to seeing you guys on Monday morning. Hopefully we have some big news, but please make sure, like right here, make sure that you add the Q2 AM, join the quest. Join us in what we're doing. Pay attention to this learning. We need more people to get involved. We want to help take people from $250, a quarter thousand, all the way up to $1 million. Again, the focused increments is getting number one, getting the education, and then being able to take 250 to 1,000. Okay, that's the first 4x jump because we're 4xing $250. As we do that, then I want to see if we can do that multiple times. The next step is to take that 1,000 to 450, but I'd like to see us be able to multiple times, whether it be paper or anywhere, take that 250 to 1,000 consistently so we can build up that confidence in self. All right. And as we learn, we got to make sure we have a trading journal so that we're marking down our trades, why we're getting in, why we're getting out, what we're seeing, so we can learn what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And then from there, we're going to be able to grow. And that's where we can ask Donnie, we can ask the team, we can understand and become better traders, because the whole end game here is let's make sure that we have a long term play for sustained profitability and sustained prosperity throughout the rest of our lives. So thank you all for the time today. I appreciate it. Hope you all have a fantastic weekend.